I do a lot of reading. I'm not a big book guy, but I'm a book guy. And I just feel like there's nothing quite like just reading a book, a good book, and a book with necessary knowledge and wisdom. So these are a few books that I have read, and then at the end, a couple that I'm going to read. Um, this book right here, surprisingly, introduced me to a lot of guns I didn't know existed. And I'm not a huge history buff when it comes to firearms, but I do like to know a little bit. You know what I mean? And so there's a lot of guns in here that I did not know existed, and this book introduced that to me. I've got other. You'll see in a moment here. I got another book In fact, I'll go to that next. Another book that introduced me to um, firearms in that way, but it didn't have some of the guns that this gun had. So, as old as this book may seem, it provided information that I could not get out of newer, maybe more, what you would think more up to date, but it didn't have a lot of the things that this book had. So, I learned a lot from this book here. Um, And this puppy right here. Oh man, did I learn a lot in this book. Um, I don't even know what to say when it comes to there's so much I learned from this book. It's crazy how much information I learned from this book, as far as historic stuff and just period, man. I learned so much from this book. It's bananas. So this book is awesome right here. I've read the entire thing. So all that stuff in here, that's all in my brain. All that's in my brain. Um, one of the this is the one I'm reading right now. I'm still currently reading this. This might be the best book I've ever read. Like seriously, I love this book. I don't know if it's the way he um tells his stories, the way he explains things, the way he breaks down how he's feeling, what he's thinking. It just resonates with me. I think we're similar in the way we explain things, tell our stories. And so maybe that has a lot to do with it. But this is one of the best books I've ever read. Uh, Serious. I love this. And not to be corny or nothing, but honestly, the Bible. I unlike a lot of Christians, especially the most judging Christians, I've read the entire Bible, and it's not what you think. It's not even what most Christians think. So, and I'm gonna just leave it at that. But the Bible is definitely it's my favorite book, uh, hands down. But this would be coming in. It sounds funny, right? Bible and then going to the Reaper. But seriously, this is probably my second favorite book, at least top three. I love this book. I'm not even done with it. I'm almost done though. That's got that much more to go. Love this book, and he's got more. But I don't know how they could match up to this. This is awesome. Um, this small little book I picked up and ran and read through it real quick. And um, actually, one thing. Let me tell you something about books. The cool thing about books is you'll pick up a book and think, what can this book teach me, right? Seriously, like you may know so much you'll go, man, what could this book teach me? I could probably teach this author something. And you probably could. And if you wrote a book, I'd probably read it if it, you know, is about what I want to read. Um but yeah, if you're a gun guy and you've got a lot of gun wisdom and whatnot, I'd probably read your book too. And I can probably learn something from you also. Even if I know more than you do, I can still learn from you. So that's kind of what I want to get across when as I come by this book, this small little book here. This small little book taught me a few things, quite a few things. And there's things that I've heard before, right? Like, how many times have you heard to um do dry firing? Do dry fire, dry fire, dry fire. You hear that all the time. Dry fire, that helps you. I've heard that 100,000 times. But the way she broke it down made me really want to start doing it. Right? That's how that's the importance of books, man, of reading books, because you get stuff out of it that you know you may not have gotten out of any other book. This guy may know a lot more than the person who wrote this book, and the person who wrote this one knows a lot more than this, but the way this person explains a specific thing, right? There's so many things like that make reading so very necessary. And if you want to advance your knowledge, advance your wisdom when it comes to firearms, when it comes to self defense, all that good stuff, pick up some books, man. Seriously, pick up some books and you will learn something you didn't know before, no matter how much you think you know. All right. I know a lot. Like, I know a lot, and I've learned from every one of these books. This book right here, learned a lot out of here. My goodness. This book reminds me a lot of kind of like my what how I was learning about firearms as a range master. This book speaks that language. And I find there's not many people that I can talk to about firearms, about what's reliable, about, you know, guns shooting 50,000 rounds, 100,000 rounds. You don't hear that much, right? Most people are like, oh, this gun's reliable. I've got 1,000 rounds through it. It hasn't given me a problem. Like, dude, get out of here. Like I really dealt with guns with thousands and thousands of rounds, hundreds of thousands of rounds even. And this book speaks that language, and it just it teaches a lot. It really does. There's a lot to learn in this book. Everything in here is in my brain. Um Concealed carry, Masad Ayub. This is one of you. Look, you can see how beat up this puppy is. This is one of the first ones I read, man. A lot of info. This is Masad Ayub we're talking about. If you can't learn from Masad Ayub, dude, you're just an arrogant jackass, and you're probably ignorant. and I'm gonna leave it at that. If you can't learn from Masad Ayub, you're probably just ignorant, straight up. Um, there's a lot to learn from this book. A lot to learn from this book. A lot of the stuff that people speak about on especially on social media would get shut up with this book. Like if people just read this book right here, a lot of the nonsense that you hear on social media would die off if people read this book. It kills a lot of the BS. It really does. That book is awesome right there. Pick that one up. Put that in your seriously, read that. Put that in your collection. These are the two that I haven't read yet, but I'm going to. The Santa Shooter. I can't wait to read this book. Like as soon as I'm done with the Reaper, I'm diving into this puppy right here. I talked to the owner or the Marcus Weldon. I talked to the writer, and I actually have a special edition, but I'm not going to show that. That's how special it is. It's actually, yeah, it's some words that were written for another special person, and somehow I got a hold of it, and it's kind of a trip. Uh, in fact, Antonika Okafor, who was like with the NRA, I believe, um, black chick. This was signed to her, um, signed and given to her from Marcus Weldon. And I spoke to both of them, about this book. And she's like, I don't know how you got my book. That's hilarious. I think I know what happened, but we're just gonna leave that alone. But anyway, um, yeah, I can't wait to read this. I can't wait. This is a serious book, man. What this guy went through is some serious stuff. So I just know the basics of this. He was at a Christmas party, uh, left with some female friends of his, went to a gas station. Some guys started, bullying the chick and looking like they were getting ready to like beat up on her. And as like a man's supposed to, he kind of, broke it up like, hey, man, we're not going to be beating up on no female. And the guys were drunk and they went for a gun. And he was concealed carrying. He had been concealed carrying for like a month or something like that, if I remember correctly. And there a gunfight ensued. And everything that happened right before that, during, and after. It's all in this book. True story. Serious situation, man. It's not what you think. Self defense shootings are not what you think. Believe me. And that's explained in this book. Can't wait to read it. After that, I'll be reading this Effective Handgun Defense. Now, why would I read this? Right? I mean, I have experience. I've I've been in it, been there, done that. I've got plenty of firearms. I know what works. I know what doesn't. So what could this book possibly teach me? See, if you think like that, you're never going to truly advance your wisdom. Straight up, you're gonna be limited. You're gonna be limited for the rest of your life if that's how you think. I'm positive there's a crazy amount I can learn from this book. Handgun defense. I mean, I read concealed carry already, right? From Assad IU. That's handgun defense. That's what that's all about, basically. So why read another one? I shouldn't even have to answer that question, you guys. Come on now. Can't wait to read this book. Can't wait to read it. I know there's lots of good, juicy knowledge in here, man. Can't wait, can't wait. That'll be the next book after I read this one. So, after I'm done with the Reaper, it'll be the Santa Shooter. I'll get all this in my brain, and then next I'll get this, and I'll get all this in my brain. And I'm also writing a book myself. So, you guys be on the lookout for that. I believe right now the name is called The Concealed Carrier. So yeah, be on the lookout for that. Whammy got a book coming out. You better believe it. Why not put all my experience, all my father's experience, grandfather's experience, mother's experience, um, and what they learn from those experiences in a book so that you can learn from those experiences instead of having to experience it yourself. Because you can mess around and die trying to experience it yourself when you could learn from someone who's already been through it and tell you what not to do, what to do, so forth and so on, right? So get some books in your brain, guys. Get some books in your brain. I feel sucky that I don't have more books in my brain. Like I said, I'm not a huge book person, but I'm a book person. You know, I'm a book person. I really am. I love a good book. And I've read lots more books than these. These are just the books related to firearms that I've read. And I've got a lot more to go. And even after this, trust me, I got a lot more I'm going to be reading. Um, John Lavelle has some books that he recommended. Um, I'll probably be reading some of those also. And John Lavelle, if you watch this, read that. Please read that if you haven't already. Get that. That's the one. That's the one right there. All right, you guys. Pick up a book. Whammy out.